أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the ever merciful. To all the distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. Today, I would like to draw your attention to a significant aspect of human history, one that has been a cause of great bloodshed and anguish: holy war. Some would argue that religious fanaticism, intolerance, and a rigid attitude towards faith have frequently led people to oppose religion or even take up sword and wage war upon one another. Ever since the Byzantine Empire yielded Jerusalem to the Rashidun Caliphate in the 7th century, the advance of the Islamic force into Christendom has evoked a profound unease amongst European powers. However, the Crusades also presented an enticing proposition for knights and nobles and even commoners, because it was an opportunity for them to amass wealth and wield power and acquire prestige. Those who embraced the call to arms in the name of the Crusades were assured by the Pope that their sins would be absolved and everlasting glory awaited them. This may sound familiar as we have an active war happening right now in Eastern Europe. But in recent decades, a misconstrued concept of jihad has emerged, which is a subject of great controversy. Why is this? The Holy Quran itself explains both in the first ever injunction that granted permission to take up arms in self-defense. Chapter 22, verse 40. Permission to fight is given to those against whom war is made, because they have been wronged, and Allah indeed has the power to help them. According to the prophecies of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Muslims were going to deviate further and further away from their faith until they reached a point, and I quote, "Nothing will remain of Islam except its name, and nothing will remain of the Holy Quran except its inscriptions. Their mosques will be full of worshippers, but devoid of guidance. And scholars, the so-called scholars, will be the worst people under the heavens. Fitna, or discord, will come from them and return to them." It was further prophesied, when such will be the condition of Islam, God will send a promised Messiah who will bring people back to the true teachings of Islam. In Hadith, the reported accounts, it is also mentioned that this prophesied era of the promised Messiah would be such that religious fighting will come to an end. And with the appearance, he will use not the sword or any earthly weapon to end religious wars. As I mentioned, religious fanaticism, intolerance, and rigid attitudes towards faith reached indeed an apex. And God sent that awaited Messiah, as was prophesied in the person of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, May peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. In his own words, the promised Messiah states, the promised Messiah has come in this world to refute the notion of using the sword in the name of religion, and to prove with argument and reasoning that Islam is such a religion which does not need the support of weapons. Rather, inherent in its teaching, in its excellent teachings, its truth and enlightenment and reasoning and arguments lies the beautiful teachings. He further states, it should be remembered that today's Islamic scholars completely misunderstand jihad and misrepresent it to the public. The public's violent instincts are inflamed as a result, and they are stripped of all noble human virtues. Now, some may argue that the spread of Islam happened through violent jihad. Explaining the reasons for the spread of Islam, the promised Messiah, peace be upon him, states, Islam is such a religion that does not need the support of swords for its propagation. Rather, the inherent excellence of its teaching, its truth, enlightenment, reasoning, arguments, and the active assistance of God the Exalted, the signs, his personal attention, are such that they will always drive progress and the propagation. The message of Islam does not rely and does not need any compulsion whatsoever. Thus, the promised Messiah, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, has waged a holy war with his pen as his weapon. He wrote over 80 books and thousands of letters. And people flocked from all over the world when they came to learn of these writings, this message. And indeed, this jihad, the jihad of the pen, has continued till today through his successors, or Khalifatul Masih. The current successor of the promised Messiah, His Holiness, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, has continued this jihad. He has written letters to leaders across the world, from the Pope, the head of the worldwide Catholic Church, President of the United States of America, the Prime Minister of Israel, the King of Saudi Arabia, to the President of the Russian Federation, and many others. While touring Canada, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad said the following: our jihad is not a jihad of the sword or guns or bombs. Our jihad is not a jihad of cruelty, brutality, or injustice. Rather, our jihad is of love, mercy, and compassion. Our jihad is of tolerance, justice, and human sympathy. Our jihad is to fulfill the rights of God and his creation. Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad concluded, if we have formed any jihadi groups, it is not for the purpose of brutally attacking and killing innocent people, or for launching evil attacks at clubs or stations or concert halls or anywhere else. Rather, it is to establish the rights of all people in all places at all times. To achieve this aim, we do not violently brandish swords or fire guns. Rather, our weapon of choice is love, compassion, sympathy, and above all, our prayers. It is this powerful practice of using the pen, intellect, wisdom to display the beauty of Islam, which has come to know as the hallmark of Islam Ahmadiyyat. With tens of millions of followers in over 200 nations, not a single example, not one, can be given of a member of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat ever taking part in a violent jihad or terrorism or taking an innocent life. By staying true to this core teaching, this community has shown great commitment and passion in their defense of Islam. Instead of striking down others, members of this community devote their lives to serving God's creation and showing their love towards them. This requires true selfishness. This is where we are selfish in serving mankind and our love for others. This is our jihad. This convention is our pen. And Ahmadis around the world will continue in this cause of spreading the true and peaceful teachings of Islam. May Allah enable us to continue this struggle with all of our ability and all of our will. Inshallah. Jazakumullah ta'ala ahsanal jaza.